Hey guys, today in this video I'm going to talk to you a little bit about knee pain and then show you a couple exercises that you can do to help get yourself out of knee pain and back to being active and healthy without dealing with that pain. So if we're dealing with knee pain, we want to focus on a couple things. First, we want to mobilize and stretch the soft tissue around the knee to make sure it's not tight, because if you have tightness in your quad, your IT band, your hamstring, that could potentially be the cause, or at least be contributing to your pain. So you want to make sure you clear out that, and it's just a good way to keep the knee healthy in general. But from a strengthening and stability standpoint, the two major areas that you focus on are your glutes and your quad. So today I'm going to show you a couple exercises that you can do for both. So when we're talking about quad strength, you want to load the quad progressively and test it out before you just start doing exercises. And so what I mean by loading the quad is when you're standing here and your knees are relatively straight, the quad is pretty unloaded because your knee is straight and that muscles, it may be firing a little bit so that you're standing, but it's not really having to work that hard. When you start to bend your knees like this, your knee and your quad starts to work. And a lot of times when someone has knee pain, they can't tolerate that quad loading. That's why things like squatting down, going up and down steps, those things tend to bother people if you're dealing with knee pain. So to progressively load the knee, let's say, this is my bad knee, I want to see if I can load the knee in what I call a single leg stance. So the first exercise is just standing on one leg and then slightly unlocking that knee, maybe 5-10 degrees, and just holding that position. Okay, you're going to feel after 10-20 seconds that quad and that glute start to fire, and then you're just holding. The balance isn't that important, so if you need to hold on to something for balance, that's fine. I'll show you from the side here, so I'll switch legs. Another key thing when you do this is when you bend that knee and you unlock the knee, don't just let the knee go forward like that. You want to think about sitting the hips back slightly and loading that knee with good alignment. Okay? So I recommend doing this, holding for about a minute, and then switching sides and doing a minute on the other side, and then switch back and forth. So you want to test it out, both sides. Now, if you have pain with that, then you're going to be limited in what you can do to strengthen that quad in a weight-bearing position. So you really want to focus on all that mobility stuff to loosen up that tissue and then retest that single leg stance to see if you can get over it. But once you can do the single leg stance and you're able to tolerate that load, you want to progress to a step up. So this is just a 8-inch step, and that's a good starting point. So I put that knee or the foot I want to work on the step, and you can see my knees bent at maybe 45 degrees, and I stand up, and then I want to step back with the other leg, so I have to control on the way down, and that knee or that quad is working on the way up and on the way down. Okay? So I would do 20 on the one side and then switch and do 20 on the other, and then you could progress that step height to, like, let's say a 12-inch step. If the 8-inch or 7-inch step bothers you, you could go down. You could just put a couple books on the floor and do that. But if you can load the quad in that single leg stance, you should be able to progress to that step up. The last progression would be what I call a heel tap. So if I'm standing, if this is the knee that I want to work, or the knee that's bothering me, and I want to load that quad, I just bend the knee, tap the heel, and come back up. And I'm not worried about balance, so if you need to hold on to something for balance, that's fine. So you just do that. Some keys here are, you don't want that knee to go forward like that or collapse inward. You want to sit your hips back slightly, and then just squat down and tap the heel. Okay? If you can do 20 heel taps on a 7 or 8-inch step, without any pain and with good strength, you should be pretty much good to go to do basic activities like going up and down steps, even starting running and things like that. So that's a good quad progression. I did want to show you just a couple glute exercises. So along with the mobility and stretching, the loading the quad progressively, there's a couple glute exercises I recommend you doing. First is just a bridge. And I'm going to show you the single leg bridge version. So let's say this is the knee that's bugging me. I want to make sure I can fire that glute. So let's get in this position. I want to engage my core, squeeze this glute, and then lift up. So I'm just really working on hip extension and the ability to fire this butt muscle. And so when you're doing this exercise, you should feel it in the glute, not so much in the hamstring, and you shouldn't feel any tension or pain in the back. Okay, so that's a good exercise. If you can't do it on one leg, you can do 2 legs like this. Okay? So that's a good hip extension exercise. And it's more of an activation exercise where you're working that glute. And then the last exercise I'm going to show you is just a side band walk. So just need a band like this. I like to start with it just below the knees. The lower the band is, the harder it's going to be. The higher the band is, the easier it's going to be. So the bridge is a good exercise to activate the glute in a non-weight bearing position, but now we can activate that lateral glute in a weight bearing position. And the knees are relatively straight, so it's not a lot of pressure on the knees. So even if you're dealing with knee pain, this is an exercise that you should be able to do without any pain. So I just start shoulder width apart, toes facing forward, and then you step out, back to shoulder width, out, back to shoulder width, and then you would go back the other direction. Okay, we're not squatting down and doing it. I'm relatively upright. You want to feel it in your glutes, and you're just going back and forth like this. I recommend doing about 10 steps one direction and then 10 steps the other. You can go longer. If it's easy, like I said, you can lower the band all the way to the ankles, and if it's too hard, you can put the band just above the knees. But those are good glute activation in non-weight bearing and weight bearing positions to do if you're dealing with knee pain. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you found this video helpful, and I'll see you next time.